Aha! Bingo! So that's the reason why Canelo Alvarez did not want to activate the rematch clause to fight Dimitry Bivol. Because in a recent interview, Canelo Alvarez expressed that he needed to hire a psychologist to cope with the loss versus Dimitry Bivol. Now, maybe he wasn't mentally ready or emotionally ready to go back into the drawing board and train to fight Dimitry Bivol right away. He said he needed to, need to check if his feelings was all right. He wasn't feeling good and things of that nature. Want to check his mental state. Now, I take it as he wasn't mentally ready to train and mentally ready to cope with going back into the drawing board and training for Dimitry Bivol. Now, there's people out there that criticize my take in this sense. I'm gonna get there right quick. That he had the contract with Triple G, but there was a rematch clause, right? He didn't activate it. There's people out there that was like try to create narratives in this community that's saying that, well, he needed to fight Triple G because there was a contract, and you know what I'm saying, there's still a rematch clause or rematch contract with Dimitri Bivol. No. When Canelo Alvarez did not activate the rematch clause, that's it. There is no more contrato. That's it. You got to draw up a new one. And hopefully this year they draw up a new one for Canelo Alvarez to face Dimitry Bivol. Probably he's mentally ready and stuff like that to go back to the drawing board. But anyway, in this community, there was people out there that did support me, because I do support Canelo Alvarez. Y'all already know Canelo Alvarez is a walking Hall of Famer. Always gonna say it. Canelo Alvarez is King Nello. Canelo Alvarez super middleweight undisputed, aka King Nello, aka Cash Kello, aka Cartelo, aka Payday, aka get the fuck out of here, man. Canelo Alvarez is that guy, right? But as soon as you critique Canelo Alvarez just a little bit, people act like you on some hating stuff. And I understand in this community, there's a lot of hate that goes towards Canelo Alvarez. And when you critique Canelo Alvarez or hold him accountable or responsible for some comment or whatever, people don't want to hear what I'm saying. If I say it, I might say something, but they hear the channels that they hate. Because of course, they do not, even though that that is a legitimate critique on Canelo Alvarez, and I'm just saying, for example, if it's anything like Canelo Alvarez said he doesn't want to face Mexican fighters, and there was critique with Canelo Alvarez, but you may know that it's not right, or you may know that that's effed up, but since you don't want to coexist with the same opinions of those who hate Canelo Alvarez, then you create a narrative, or you enable a narrative that is really not right. You know what I'm saying? Again, now I understand, listening to the interview, that this is the reason why Canelo Alvarez really wasn't ready to go back to the drawing board and fight Dimitry Bivol. You understand? Again, look, Canelo Alvarez, he's, I think, the greatest fighter of this era. You know what I'm saying? He set the tone. He's active, winning titles in 4 divisions. Compete at a high level. He has filled the void and the frustration of the boxing fans that there's not a lot of fighters that's fighting, you know what I'm saying, constantly and things of that nature. Look, I always say that Canelo Alvarez is an all-time great. My frustration, a little bit of frustration, because it's hard to be frustrated with Canelo Alvarez, but my little critique was, or I was actually surprised that Canelo Alvarez, which I consider an all-time great, did not want to activate the rematch clause and go into a fight with Dimitry Bivol right away, because I just feel like, Canelo Alvarez always have the cojones and the heart to always want to be great and always want to challenge himself like he did to fight Dimitry Bivol. So I thought, in my opinion, it was actually uncharacteristic for Canelo Alvarez not to activate the rematch clause right away and go into a fight, which I believe we all believe that he was going to beat Triple G, especially at this part of his career, at this stage of his career. You know what I'm saying? 40 years old, did not look impressive, did not look special in the last outing, even with Murata and stuff like that. And I was also frustrated with the boxing fans because they didn't hold Triple G accountable. You know what I'm saying? And they was calling everybody else that everybody was everybody was dying for Canelo to fight Canelo Alvarez. Everybody wanted the Willy Wonka ticket. Everybody was calling all these fighters a charity case, that they're not fighting nobody. They're not challenging themselves to fight Canelo Alvarez. And I believe that Triple G, who is a probably future Hall of Famer, And considering the same level of Canelo Alvarez, he's not doing what Canelo Alvarez is doing. He didn't challenge himself and things of that nature. And he was getting a pass for not unifying the title with Jamal Charlo or Dimitry Andre. And I think the hate for Charlo and Dimitry Andre in this community is what gave Triple G a pass. And for me, I identify that, and I felt like it was effed up. I did not feel that Triple G deserved a third fight with Canelo Alvarez. He should have unified with the other guys, because Canelo Alvarez has been putting in work. And it seems like Triple G, that they a lot of people praise, he didn't put in no work. He didn't put in the type of work like a Canelo Alvarez. You know what I'm saying? Canelo Alvarez is doing all the dirty work. But anyway, that's how I feel. But I thought that it was actually uncharacteristic for Canelo Alvarez not to go right away and fight Dimitry Bivol. And I felt like it was strange. And now that I seen this interview, I feel like I am right. And for the people that try to critique me and stuff like that, I don't even know why you're trying to critique me. Because the credit that I give Canelo Alvarez, and I've given him a lot of credit, I'm just, it's even hard to critique Canelo Alvarez. But people was catching feelings. People was trying to say, oh, Punch, you changing. Oh, you trying to be just like them. The ones that Canelo Alvarez hate. Just because I critique them, just because I feel that it was actually uncharacteristic, because I didn't expect Canelo Alvarez not to activate the rematch clause. I would have thought that Canelo Alvarez was going to do that. I believe that Canelo Alvarez is all-time great. I think that Canelo Alvarez is great enough, still great enough, to go back into the drawing board and actually come up with a better game plan and actually beat Dimitry Bivol. It was going to be a harder task, especially how we seen Dimitry Bivol versus Sudo Ramirez. He got great momentum, and we understand that he's a bigger fighter, strong, probably stronger fighter, intellectual and stuff like that. It's a hard fight. You know what I'm saying? Coming into the first fight, you know, I was on the clouds as well, because Canelo Alvarez was in that Black Mamba mode. He looked invincible. It was hard for me to see anybody beating Canelo Alvarez in 168 or maybe in 175. I thought Beterbiev probably would have gave him a better account than Bivol. Let's be honest. A lot of people didn't think that Bivol was going to beat Canelo Alvarez, so let's not play all geniuses now. So, but now that we see more Bivol, and now that we dialed in on Bivol, you know what I'm saying, we see that it is really a hard task, and we see the challenges that Canelo Alvarez was up for, you know what I'm saying? And he chose that. Let's not forget, it's not like they chose him. He chose that. He chose to challenge himself, you know what I'm saying? So this is why we give credit. Sometimes that's why we give the leeway to Canelo Alvarez. Even though, let's say like me, people know in this community, I'm a fan of Dimitry Andre. Like I'm a fan of Canelo Alvarez. I feel like Dimitry Andre should have got the undisputed bout with Canelo Alvarez in 160. I felt that Canelo Alvarez team actually effed that up. Not probably necessarily Canelo Alvarez, but his team didn't do the due diligence, didn't do the paperwork to get that fight and give Canelo Alvarez a legacy fight. People always just want to see it one side, like Dimitry Andre, right? But Dimitry Andre was up for a legacy fight for undisputed bout, and Canelo Alvarez was up for undisputed bout. So people should be upset just like me that we didn't see that fight for both of these guys' legacy. I'm a fan of both of them. You may be just a fan of Canelo Alvarez, but you should be just as annoyed as me that the fight didn't happen. But the reason why he got a pass is because Canelo Alvarez still went to the 175 pounds to fight a bigger fighter, a knockout artist in Sergey Kovalev. So it was hard to stay mad at Canelo Alvarez or his team at that time, because he still became a 3-division world champion and went up there. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And this is why I found it uncharacteristic of Canelo Alvarez not wanting to activate the rematch clause. And again, I'm going to say it again. For the people out there that want to create the narratives and stuff like that for Canelo Alvarez, there are a lot of people that create narratives against Canelo Alvarez, and there's other people that create narratives for Canelo Alvarez. Two wrongs don't make a right. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe that these channels just go after one another, and they lose themselves in debunking these type of narratives, because they just don't want to keep it real. They think that if they agree a little bit of what they may say, sometimes the critique has validity to it. Sometimes the critique is justifiable. You know what I'm saying? Even though that some of these guys may be haters of Canelo Alvarez, that doesn't mean that everything they say is a lie. Maybe 90%, but 10% might be true. You know what I'm saying? I don't agree with Canelo Alvarez not fighting Mexican fighters. Is that a problem with anybody else? I still think that Canelo Alvarez is a great fighter. I don't think he's scared of anybody, but I just don't think that it's morally right for him not to fight a Mexican fighter, because I feel like fighting your own, knowing how it's a struggle from Mexico and things of that nature, is that by fighting a Mexican fighter, you're actually giving that Mexican fighter and that Mexican family and that Mexican, it could be sons and daughters, you giving them the opportunity to make the type of money that you could only give them. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at when he says, I'm not fighting Mexican fighters, I hear it as I'm not giving an opportunity to a Mexican. You understand what I'm trying to say? So that's how I see is for me is I'm morally effed up. And it's a fight game. It's not like I'm going to give anything to you. You still got to beat me for it, or you going to get punished. You going to get a good punishment. You know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm trying to say? But again, maybe this is the reason why, and hopefully that he's confident enough to go back to the drawing board. He said he want to fight Dimitry Bivol, but I saw some uncharacteristic things, and now I know that's the reason why, because he probably was not mentally ready. If that was the first time, he said that was the first time in his life that he ever seeks any type of therapy, that anytime he needed to talk to somebody other than his circle. So he didn't take that loss real good. You feel me? He said the worst loss that he took was actually with Mayweather. But if you needed therapy and a psychologist, then you're human. You know what I'm saying? You on top of the world. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people depend on you. You got a whole country in your bag. Just like AJ, you saw how he took a loss. I understand humans. I understand Canelo Alvarez. You know what I'm saying? It's a tough sport. You know, it's a lonely sport. You're the only one there, and everybody depend on you. When you a fighter, man, it's just not like a basketball player or any other athlete. A fighter is like you're the Superman. You know what I'm saying? You the Superman. You a superhero. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that. I believe that all these athletes should seek some type of, should speak to somebody. I don't know if it got to be a psychologist, a therapist, or whatever you want to call it. But I feel like in this line of work, when you got that much pressure, you know what I'm saying? You got that much pressure. You got a lot of people that depend on you to succeed and can't, a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions, a lot of money running on you. You feel me? I know it's a lot of pressure, and I think that these fighters should always, you know what I'm saying, talk to somebody, decompress, and things of that nature. So it's good that Canelo Alvarez did that, and I feel like every fighter should do that as well. But I think that was the reason why. So for the people out there that was trying to critique me and say, oh man, you a sellout or whatever, man, cállate la maldita boca, ustedes no saben nada. I'm always going to support Canelo Alvarez, because Canelo Alvarez of this era have helped so much the sport of boxing. I can't imagine how boxing will be, especially out here in America and this side of the pond. I can't see how boxing would be. You know what I'm saying? If we think that boxing is a niche sport, is not a top sport no more, can you imagine boxing without Canelo Alvarez in these last several years? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Eddie Reynoso, man. Eddie Reynoso has done a wonderful job with Canelo Alvarez and stuff like that. I believe that they have plateaued? That's another critique that people got mad. I do believe that Eddie Reynoso and Canelo Alvarez have plateaued. But do I want Canelo Alvarez to fire Eddie Reynoso? Hell no. But do I want him to add probably a new regimen? Yes, because I believe that Canelo Alvarez is still young enough to be better. He's only 32 years old, 32, 33. We've seen people get better. Look at George Joyce. He's gotten better at the age of 37. You know what I'm saying? It's changing. Celeste have changed him to as a whole different type of fighter. Cotto got better at that age. Manny Pacquiao developed a jab in his 30s. You know what I'm saying? Floyd Mayweather had to adjust to his hands at the age of 30. So we could see people's Hopkins have adjusted and got better. You know what I'm saying? So there is people and there's greatness that we've seen of other people that needed to adjust at that age. And I believe that Canelo Alvarez could do so. But if you're going to stay with the same regimen, same game plan and things of that nature, how can you grow? Sometimes you got to add. People say sometimes you got to take away to add. I think that with Eddie Reynoso being a manager, trainer, and making him as the greatest, one of the greatest fighters of all time, they could add to it. You know what I'm saying? Add another expert in the team. You know what I'm saying? It's all about being greater. You know what I'm saying? All about being the best and staying on top. So let me know what y'all think, man. Subscribe to the channel, smash the like button. Love y'all. God bless. And on to the next. And shout out to Canelo Alvarez and his team. It was a great interview. Peace out.